Alrighty, update. Anyway, I haven't barely touched it this week. Purely work is work and time and family, not a lot of time. So anyway, so where things are at, I've got the rear brakes and all that built. So that's all been done. I'm still waiting for the brake lines. They gave them to me, but the fittings they put on are the same on both ends when I was pretty clear that I needed the Falcon XE ones on one end and the XF on the other. Told them which ones to change, but for some reason they put brand new fittings on there and they're the completely wrong ones. So I've got to take them back tomorrow, which is frustrating, but it is what it is. So anyway, brakes are on, new brake pads, all that. So yeah, just one thing, when you're putting the discs on, that has to be absolutely clean. Even a coat of paint, it won't go on. It's very, very, very close. So, and also when you put the discs on, make sure you position them according to the position of that, and then get your well, even before you put the disc on, do a bit of a handbrake adjustment, because if you've adjusted the handbrake to get that disc off, you're going to have to put it back to where it was, otherwise the handbrake won't engage properly. So just before you put the disc back on, do it as found. This one had about 5mm gap of adjustment on the little dial inside. So, and I built all this, and then I realised that I didn't actually do the handbrake adjustment back to how I found it. So I've got to pull it off, which is not a big deal. So yeah, so clean the hub really well, because even a coat of paint or a little tiny bit of surface stuff, it stops it. So anyway, so that's that. I've already explained all the other bits. So brake pads are pretty simple. There's 2 clips. You just push the clips through, 2 bolts at the back. So yeah, and I've got to do the new lines again. So that's what the XEN looks like, which is different to the XF end. So yeah. So front suspension wise, I've got some done. I've got one side done, and it's come up really good. No fighting, no difficulties. So yeah, I just put the caliper on. These are a bit of a nuisance, these pins, but you just got to persevere with them. So I sort of put the clip in there and then pushed it, and it got into the groove here. There's a little groove, and then just get a screwdriver and push it, and then it goes into the little hole there. So there's a little hole there, so you got to push it. It takes a fair bit of force. They're a bloody nuisance, to be honest. I spent probably 20 minutes trying to get the bloody things in. And same on the other side, just use a screwdriver and push them in. So they just sit on there, pretty straightforward stuff. They just sit there, those two screws. I found I had to leave this quite loose. When I counted how many turns there was on the underneath section, on that nut there, it was like 24 turns. But because the angle, these have to be lined up perfectly with the bottom control arm, so I had to loosen this way off until there was only about 5 turns left, and then I was on the right angle to push both the bolts in. So I'm going to have to retighten all that again, but that's okay. So anyway, I'll just run you through the process. So all I did was put those 2 in, put the bottom control arm in. They take a little bit of mucking around because of that bolt setup, and it's got because it's a camber bolt, so it only goes in one way. So it's a bit of a nuisance to get that in. You're gonna need a little bit of a mallet and sort of line it up really, really well, and mallet on the other side, and it pops through fine. So make sure you grease it. Make sure you put your grease on either side of the bloody thing. Otherwise, we'll be creaking and carrying on. So I've got that in. Then I'll put that in. Again, it's all pretty straightforward. It's just the way it come off, and tells you if you're buying new ones. So from there, I had all this disassembled. So that is loose. So the shocky is separate. So basically, all you end up with is just that, just the upper control arm. That's it. You have nothing else, and then you put the upper control arm through the 2 holes at the back, bend it down. So once you put it in the holes, you can bend the control arm down so it's on a really steep angle, down like that. So once you do that, you put your spring compressors on. You see it scratch my bloody shockies. Anyway, springs. So you can put your spring compressor on and smash up that spring, slide it over top of the shock, and then that will feed up nicely up into the spot, and then you tie on your, make sure your top strut mount thing is on and tight. Tie on the nut on top of your shock. So you leave it all in, and then you raise the control arm upwards and then push those 2 screws in. They went in, 2 bolts in. They went in fine, no dramas. Put the nuts on underneath, and then I just tightened them up from underneath and got all this nice and tight. There's 2 funny shaped washers on the underside of that, so don't lose them. They're very specific for that job. They're not standard washers, they've been cut. So tighten them up. Just make sure, because of the angle of the bolt, make sure you put your socket on properly. You don't stuff up the nut or anything like that. So once that's done, then I obviously you connected that to that, to the lower control arm. Then that went in. Then I tightened those 2 bolts, and then grabbed the whole assembly, the hub and brake and all that, which is all together. And I just put it into the top one first, and then put it in the bottom one first, and brought all that up. You can see it's pretty straightforward. There's just a nut there. So to set that in there first, and then brought it all up, and then pushed it into that setup there. So it just pushes in, down in here, my bad. Pushes into there. You need to wiggle it and turn the rotor, like turn the whole assembly there, and wiggle it in to get it into and then it'll just pop in. And put the nuts on either side, nut here, and then just, I don't know, that's just sitting in the breeze at the moment, so I just put it on there to get it, so I knew it was there. So I'm going to leave that steering arm off, because I know last time when I was pulling the engine out on my own, it all got bloody caught in there, and it was a friggin' nuisance. So I'm going to leave that steering arm off, so I got more room to get the trans and engine in through that hole. So that's purely because on my own. If I wasn't on my own, I'd just put it all together. So yeah, that was it. Then all I just tighten things up, just tighten them reasonably tight, and that was the process. Yeah. And then took the spring compressors off once everything was tight, and it was an easy job. Took no more than 40 minutes, I think. Pretty straightforward job. Nothing difficult about it. So yeah. And then obviously I'll connect up the brake and the brake lines and all that. I'll get all that done shortly. But yeah, and obviously the sway bar will go in its little spot, which is pretty straightforward. There's a little gap there. Sway bar goes in on either side, and that's the hat. So yeah, it's not a bad job. Pretty simple. Nothing too complicated. So. I didn't go on it, but it's easy. The brake pad change, make sure I mean, these have been fully refurbed, so I got it all beautiful for me, so I was quite lucky. So obviously make sure you push the piston all the way back, and make sure these slide well. These have got to slide properly on the little disc assembly. So they got to slide properly, and make sure when you fit it, you just push them far away, slide as far as you can, otherwise it won't go into the bolt in the back. It's a nuisance otherwise. New pads, yeah, so she's all brand new in there, so I didn't take video, but I've redone the put a new wheel bearing in there. These are simple wheel bearings on these. The fronts are easy. They literally just pop. So I didn't do the video on that, but anyway, it's got new wheel bearings in there. Listen to that, beautiful. So other than that, that's about it. So yeah, that's where I'm up to today, and I'll do the other side as soon as I possibly can. I'm not going to say when, but as soon as I possibly can. So anyway, that's that. So then I'll chuck some wheels on the old girl, put her on the deck, and put her on the deck, and get that engine in there. and yeah, and just make sure that engine runs. So anyway, that's where we're up to. Thanking you.